We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break. What time you said coming over you. You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you. And it feels alright when they come and say to you,
Hi, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is Talk of the Toon with me and Sid from Songs from the Attic 1977. Go and give him a sub. Hiya, Sid, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Yes, I was enjoying virtually all of that song now.
I know it's good. I mean, we made it slightly longer, and yeah, you feel like watching watching the whole thing again, don't you? It's great stuff. But the Long Sands, don't forget, are going to be at the Cluny.
Yes, I'm going to go and see them in January. Looking forward to it. So
early January for the Cat and Dog Shelter. So looking forward to that pre-recorded show today. Sorry, so apologies for that. And pre-recorded very early in the week because it means that as we pre-record this, Liverpool Newcastle face each other tonight. So this has been done obviously without the knowledge of what that wonderful 5-0 result meant to Newcastle United in their title hopes. And
yes, Nick Patrick, who would have thought it? You know.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we're still lumbering around, dwelling over what happened against Crystal Palace, and I think one would imagine Newcastle would have at least put in a bit more of an effort against Liverpool, but maybe come up short. Who knows? We might be surprised, and this is all just a load of waffle at the start of this programme. But it was a disappointing performance against Palace, following on from a disappointing performance against West Ham. I'm sure you've had time to listen to some of the views of people on this platform. The likes of Mitch and Stu, who people have a lot of who hold in high esteem really on here because of the fact that they've done it for so long, and that people have been on on a long journey with those two in particular. And when they've heard their opinions this week, they're feeling a bit down and depressed. Angry is how Mitch feels. How did you feel, after that Palace performance, following on from, a home defeat against West Ham? What was your initial gut reaction?
To put it politely, I was miffed. I think is the nice way of saying it. When they scored, I was texting my mate Ian because you can see it. And of course, sure enough, they did. And don't get me wrong, Palace absolutely deserved a goal and probably deserved to win it, to be perfect. Let's be brutal about it. Newcastle were absolutely crap. It was just a terrible performance. Anybody stand out? I'm not. Well, ironically, probably Nick Pope stood out until the last minute, and you could argue Tyne had a good game and Burn had a good game. Those three had really good games. Defense weren't that terrible, but it was just there's nothing going forward. It's just really, really flat. And the phrase that's doing the rounds this week is stale. And it's absolutely that. It's as stale as a sort of 5-week-old bit of bread or something, isn't it? It's probably gone off at that point, obviously, but we're not far from going off as a team. There's just nothing. It seems it's very, very flat, and it's just I'm a bit down by it all, if I'm being brutally honest. Not helped by Liverpool, I suspect, but it was such a poor performance. I mean, was it one shot? Did they say there was a shot?
A shot of some description, although people were scrambling back through the highlights to see whether they could actually find it.
I didn't see it, but I might be wrong. I didn't see it. I just thought it was just drab, poor management. I'm going to be brutally honest about it. I thought it was really poor management choices. Yes, Isaac got injured, so. Why are they not putting Asula on? Why don't you put him on for an hour and then maybe put Wilson on for the last 20 minutes or so, if that's what you want to do? And I don't think there'll be any disgrace in the kid doing 60 minutes and then coming off. Do you know what I mean? And you've got a different sort of focal point up front. He's a big, strong lad. He looks fast. He's got a good touch. I don't understand it. I genuinely don't understand why he's not getting some game time. And then to sort of almost humiliate him by putting Barnes on and then putting Gordon up front. Gordon's not a centre forward. Yeah, he did it in the under-21s, but that's a totally different sort of level of football. And, did great, obviously, and they won the tournament, which is brilliant. But he ain't a centre forward. And, people are bemoaning his like Gordon's current form, and it's a valid point, I think. However, he's played on the right. He's played up front. He's played on the left. Just play him in his position, which is on the left. Play him. If you're going to have to, play him on the left. The problem being then is where do you put Joe Linton and all the rest of it? And that then says to me, Howe needs to change the formation. And he needs to sort of adapt because his in-game management looks pretty poor at the moment. I mean, it was atrocious against West Ham, as I said, on the last show. If that had been Steve Bruce or Sam Allardyce or something, he'd have got pelters, and rightly so, because I didn't understand what was going on for the last 20 minutes. I mean, you can't keep moving players all over the pitch and everybody understanding what you're doing because there's too many parts that have moved. Move one, that's it. Move one, change one, that's it. And I'm not saying you always have to go like for like, but you can change formation. But there's too much going on. And he's got to be a little bit more consistent in terms of playing best players in their positions. To me, at the minute, Barnes does not warrant coming on unless it's the last 15, 20 minutes. I'm trying to think of a polite word for he was just abysmal, I think is the polite way I'm going to say it. I'm trying not to swear during the day. I do swear on our show, by the way, folks. But he was absolutely awful. He was awful. He offers nothing. And again, this goes back to recruitment as well. You talk about steel, but if we had 38 million now, would we really go out and buy Barnes? No. Therefore, the question is, why did they spend 38 million pound on a player who's not better than Anthony Gordon, probably not better than Joe Linton on the left, if we're being perfectly honest about it? Therefore, why have you bought him? And you could have bought somebody else who would have played on the right or some other position. And number 10 is the position I keep harping on about if you change the formation or whatever, And we haven't. And now we're scrambling around, harping on about PSR yet again. And yeah, poor recruitment is the honest answer with regards to some of this. And I think this is where some of it stems from, poor recruitment. Therefore, we don't have the alternatives to change things up. And I'm sorry, I'm going to keep rabbiting on here. But the other thing as well is the lack of form of some players. Some players who are so inconsistent, because Newcastle are consistent at the minute, just at being inconsistent.
Yeah.
And we've got players who are inconsistent. Joe Willock is inconsistent. Put a high press team against, put a deep lying team against against and Joe Willock can't break them down. He'd probably do really well against Liverpool because there's going to be space and he can push on and push through it. But you put him up against a West Ham or whoever, or some team that's going to sit back on you and he can't do it, or he's not proven to me that he can do it. And therefore, some players, if offers come in, I would take the money and buy somebody else, Unfortunately, and I really like Joe Willock. I still don't think he's playing his best position because I think he's a number 10. I think he's a just off the centre forward type of player who will score goals. I'll tell you who he reminds me of, Dele Alli. When Dele Alli was very, very good. He's a very similar player in my eyes, and therefore I don't see him played in the correct position. He's not going to get. Look. Let's be honest. It looks like Howe isn't going to change anytime soon. The formation. I hope I'm proven wrong, but if he's not, then for me, Willock can go. Barnes can go because he's not been a success. And then obviously Trippier's probably going to go, and Wilson might well go as well. And Miggy. There's 5 players who might. I don't think they'll all go, obviously, in the window, but you might get rid of 2 of them. Maybe even 3 of them in the window. There are others I certainly wouldn't want to go. I read Sean Longstaff's name mentioned that maybe consider a bit. I would keep him as a squad player. I really would. And I know I harp on about him sometimes. I don't want to see him starting on a regular basis, but certainly he's a squad player. I think he's a good player as well. So it needs freshening up, and so the club needs freshening up. If you stay in the same place, you go backwards. It's always been the case in football. We look back at when Pardew came 5th, and we buy Vernon and Anita that year? We went backwards. We got for on a free transfer or 2 million or whatever it was, and we went backwards. Same when Bobby Robson we got Lee Boyer in on a free transfer, and we went backwards. Because we didn't invest when we were sort of flying, and you've got to invest to push forward. But of course, it's the chicken and the egg situation with PSR in terms of what we can and can't do. Therefore, we need to be better sellers, and we need to sometimes a little bit of ruthless and say, right, well, do we therefore need to sell one of the sort of blue chip players, a Bruno or whatever it may be, as galling as that might be? And don't get me wrong, I don't think we should have to. But unfortunately, the current situation with PSR, I don't see it dramatically changing enough in the short term for us to sort of get round it any other way.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moaning going on social media. And in the words of Tom Jones, it's not unusual. But, the Eddie Howe out brigade are back in full effect. And I often think, these, people who certainly are leading the charge and the campaign behind, it has to be said, anonymous accounts. You often wonder what their motivation is, what their motive is. Are they Newcastle fans? Do they support another club? Are they just professional, social media trolls who revel in this kind of thing of getting a bite from supporters because our supporters will always bite? What's your thoughts on this whole motivation? Because you used the word stale, which Eddie used that prior to the Liverpool game in his press conference, but he was quick to correct what he meant by it. But the word stale is one I've seen a few times mentioned by fans and pundits alike.
Now, I'm going to refer to Toon polls, who did a poll, obviously. I just realised when I said it, with regard to how in or out, and it went 73% in. So there's 27% of people voted out. It's a fair chunk, and they're not all non-Toon fans. So I think there is a fair proportion of fans who want them. I've got friends who definitely want him out, and I've got friends who definitely want him in. And I'm probably somewhere in the middle, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm torn. I really want him to do well because I think he's a great bloke, and the style of football is right up my street. I like the front foot football better than the Benitez rubbish that we watched and all that sort of stuff, and all the drab football that we've had to endure under the likes of Allardyce. But I am questioning. I'm openly questioning his in-game management because the last 2 games have been awful. And don't get me wrong, everybody's entitled to make mistakes. I made mistakes in my job. But what I did do, all right, I'd do something for a certain period of time that, no, I've got to go and sort of get better at this and go and, why am I teaching this in a certain way? And then you'd go away and come back and reflect on it and do it slightly different. And I think Howe has to sort of reflect and look at different options. Is he capable of doing that? Absolutely. Because before he came to Newcastle, Bournemouth, if I remember right, used to play 4-4-2. And they used to score loads of goals and used to absolutely get tonked on occasions as well. And they used to concede loads of goals. Came to Newcastle, we had the joint best defence in the league with Man City. So he's shown that up because he went to go and study under Atletico Madrid. I just think so that shows he's open to change. It's the evidence is out there, but I think he needs to adapt. Is my personal view. He needs to adapt, and I have no doubt in my mind that if Newcastle are not in Europe at the end of the season, he's gone. And I think that's fair dues with regards to the squad that we've got. Nobody can tell me at the beginning of the season that the squad was not good enough to get into Europe. I'll be honest. I thought we'd be third. I thought we'd be third. I think maybe I've overrated some of our players.
We still could be.
We could. We're not a million miles off. We're only 4 points off. But we keep saying, I'm only 4 points off, 3 points off such and such. We're 4 points off this now. And, we're only 3 points off or 4 points off sixth. I don't want it to get to a point where, we're only 8 points off sixth. And, it's just, otherwise it's getting silly. It's such a bizarre season. Because if he goes out and wins the League Cup, I'm happy to slap a 10-year contract down on the table. You know what I mean? So because we've all been there for 40-something years and never won nothing, in terms of going to the game. So it's a real dilemma, isn't it? It's a real strange one because there's a big part of me who's really fed up with regards to thinking, why do we always seem to have a substitute? It's 70 minutes. It's always the same amount of time. Why, for example, and I don't think I'm speaking out here, why did he not put a defender on with 5 minutes to go at Crystal Palace? I do not understand it. Stick Trippier on or stick the centre-half on, I forgot the lad's name now. Stick one of them on with 5 minutes to go to shore up the defence. Yes, you're going to get bombarded with balls a little bit, but, we can normally cope with that sort of thing. We're normally very, very good in the air. And it was just like, oh, good God. It was so predictable, and his in-game management's been not very good, I think is the way of seeing it. And I want to see more. I really want to see more. And I'm just sick of yes, we do adapt slightly 4-3-3, but it's so predictable. And you know what really got me the most? I think was it the West Ham manager or was it the Crystal Palace manager? I think I might told Sky how Newcastle played before the game and what his game plan was, and he did it. You're thinking, my God, how does that even work? As a manager, you must be embarrassed by that. You've got to therefore go and change your style of play. If you are so predictable, do something different, and yes, you might be shot down a little bit and people go, oh, well, you shouldn't have played 4-2-3-1 or whatever it might be. But you can't be that predictable. You've got to be able to adapt and change things a little bit. And we have players who can do that.
We do,
we have to do that. It's, and I'm pleased Tonali's now in the team. I'll be horrified if he's not in the team against Liverpool.
Obviously the game against Liverpool's already been played, so we will have found that out, and whether he is or whether he isn't.
He's put two good performances in, but if you have a poor performance, you don't want him suddenly being out of the team. You've got to give certain players a real run now, and just change it up a bit.
Let's talk about Anthony Gordon, because Craig Howe put an article out, a very long article in the Daily Mail. Not my chosen paper, I've got to be perfectly honest, but I do read Craig Hope's articles, and it was about Anthony Gordon again. It was that long summer that we had where, obviously, we know we had turmoil behind the scenes with the man Ramiro going, but this was a very, it was a very important article about Anthony Gordon and how his head was turned in the summer. And, essentially because, he found out, not from the club direct, but found out essentially that, he was surplus to requirements and was going to be used in some kind of deal to Liverpool to balance Newcastle's PSR issue. So, that is something that we talked about, on this show as it was happening. We'd heard a little bit of a rumour, for that NUFC matters. Certainly the professionals and the amigos, we alluded to it. Craig Hope has now confirmed that was 100% true. And that may be why we're not seeing the best of Anthony Gordon. And there does seem to be an issue with him, certainly after international breaks as well, which is another thing that was pointed out in this article, that his form before the international breaks is superb. We have 2 weeks off. He goes off to play for England and then comes back and he's struggling. So, I mean, what are you making of the Anthony Gordon situation?
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because I was thinking about this earlier on, weirdly, and I was thinking of Wayne Rooney. When he used to play at Man United, in January, Ferguson used to give Wayne Rooney 2 weeks off. Not every year, but often.
Yeah.
Just to sort of recharge his batteries. And people might go, he's a professional footballer, he had 3 weeks off, this, that, and the other. But generally, he's played football almost all the time for 2.5 years, solid. And even, he might not have played during the Euros, but mentally, he's exhausted. He's, obviously he'll be in training as well. So for me, he may just need a break, a proper break, 2 weeks off of doing nothing, just lying on a beach. And that might be part of the issue. As I said earlier on, he's not playing in the correct position. You can change a position every week. I mean, what's he supposed to do? So just stick him on the left. Keep him on the left. That's where he wants to play. That's where he's best. Utilise his skill, is the way I look at it.
But if it's not best for the team, he has played on the opposite flank and done really well, hasn't he? And
he has, but it looks like that's definitely his better position, which is weird because obviously he's 2-footed, he's one of those rare players who is 2-footed. So he can technically play on either, but he seems to prefer to play on the left and cutting inside. But he does go both ways as well. He does cut on the outside as well, of course. So, I mean, if you look at him last year, he played on the left primarily. He scored 10, 11 goals, was involved in 20-something, 25, 26 goals, if you include the penalties. So, play him in his best position, and don't try and force him somewhere that is not really his preferred place. So stick him on the left is what I'm saying. He might, and I'm just putting this out there, he might be used in the summer as a make-weight player anyway. Do you not
think that might be earlier? Because January's looming. Do you not think
because
we may well see somebody big go in January?
No, I personally think if there's a player from Liverpool that they go for, I think it'll be the goalkeeper.
Okay.
And is it Kelleher or whatever they call him? Who's very good, and you could almost see Gordon being sort of, Gordon, the keeper in cash. You could almost see it, and it's odd, isn't it? Because I've got friends again who go at the match and they're not huge Gordon fans, and I'm saying I don't understand their views, I don't get it, but we're all entitled to an opinion, and they don't agree with mine, and it's I don't get it. I think he's a super player. He's come on so much since the day that he's came to the club when I didn't want him, and now he's fabulous, and he's clearly he's a great bloke. I think that's something that we can all see. He's a top lad. His head might have been turned, but I don't think you go onto a pitch. We've all played sport. Maybe he's obviously at a much lower level, but we've all played a sport. You don't go on any game and generally think about other things all the time because you're wrapped up in the moment. And so you're wrapped up in the moment of playing the game. So I don't think he's suddenly playing for Newcastle thinking, I wish I'd stayed for Liverpool. I just don't see that. I don't see that. So I don't see that affecting him. Yes, his fitness levels don't seem to have been at the same level. And there have been times when I thought, come on, Anthony, chase it back, man. And he just let the guy walk past him. And I'm thinking, he didn't do that last year. But, I'm not giving him a free card, by the way, here. So there
No,
are
nobody should get one either.
No, I think he's been a 7 out of 10 this year so far, which is not terrible. It's pretty good. He's been pretty good in a few games. He's had a few really bad games, like the Palace game, for example. But then again, is there many players over a 7 out of 10 this season for us? Left back, maybe it's Joe Linton. That's it. I think that's literally it. I think anybody else would be struggling to get past that. So
some cryptic messages as well from Bruno on his social media.
Oh, what is that rubbish, man? Just grow up, man. You know what I mean?
What do you think it is? I mean, it's speculation, of course, your opinion. But what do you think
Steve,
all that means?
Steve, I don't care. I just find stuff like that pathetic. If I just think, so what? So what? If you got anything to say, just say it, or just shut up, man. You know, if you're going to go to Man City, then you know what? We'll all wish you well, all the best. We'll shake your hand. We'll give you a huge round of applause. We'll all stand up when you come back to St James's Park and chant your name, maybe even when you walk off, and boo you the first time you touch the ball, as happened to Les Ferdinand, of course, which was fantastic. And he just laughed, and it was brilliant. You know, he took it the right way. But don't give it the, oh, am I going? Am I staying? You know, it's suddenly turned into the Harmony hair advert. Is he? Isn't he? You know, and it's just silly. It's just daft. And, you know, I'm not interested in playing games like mind games and are you staying? Is he going? There are bigger fish to fry, to kind of cliche, you know. And if he goes, good luck. We'll buy somebody else. We'll buy 2 players to replace him. You know, nobody's expendable in that team. I would argue maybe Isak's the one I would be most horrified to go. But if he did go, I'd be happy to go Barcelona, but not Arsenal. That would stick in my craw. And if we sell any of those type of players, I can live with Bruno go to Man City. I don't want him to go to English clubs. You know,
I think we've all finally accepted that this is going to happen at some point. It's almost as if the club has told us, you know, PSR. It's been drummed into us. You know,
because if you think about it, Steve, as well, have the players not been missold to a certain point?
Well, they're certainly not happy. They're certainly not happy about the situation. They were, you know, because they bought into a club that was told by Amanda Staveley that would win something within the first 5 years. Premier League, you know, Champions League is what Yas is saying. We want to be number one. And you know, here we are coming into the 4th year of the project, and we're still not won the Carabao Cup.
Well, if you've not bought players in 2-3 transfer windows, then there's a real argument you've been missold the deal a little bit, haven't you? You know.
And the changing facilities, the training facilities haven't been improved as much as they thought. We've heard stuff coming out about that as well, and you know, players clearly aren't happy.
Yeah, they have been improved to a point, though, haven't they? There's no
it's not
buckets anymore.
It's not inflatable swimming pools and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I get it. But yeah, I think you're right. I think there is I think certainly a bit of that. I also think, you know, again, it's a rumour that circulated Tyneside this week that Dan Burn and Fabian Shaw went into the dressing room after the Crystal Palace game and basically gave their teammates 2 barrels. I think that's great. I think that's great because it needs that. It does need that.
One of them should be the captain. The sad thing is, you could argue that this time next year, neither of them will be playing regularly as first team starters. And Dan Burn's been excellent this season. Yes, he's had the odd duff game, and yes, I bemoan the fact that he's slow. But you know what? He was fantastic on Saturday. He was really, really good. You know,
don't worry, Dan Burn will still be playing. I mean, don't forget when Botman comes back, he'll be back in at left back.
Don't be daft.
It's time for the ads. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website is mrvickies.co.uk. Email them info@mrvickies.co.uk or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. Congratulations to them on their Travel and Tourism Award 2024. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges. All excursions included. Find them at their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And don't forget, we are also available as a podcast on iTunes and Spotify and other podcast providers. If you get the time, please hit the subscribe button. It does do us a big favour. Hit the like button, which is the thumb under the video. That helps the channel grow. And click share to share to your other social medias. You can also hit the join button and become a member. Some dates for your diary. In aid of Newcastle Cat and Dog Shelter, the Long Sands play the Clooney. That takes place on Saturday, January the 4th, 2025, with support from Lilac Lane and the Chris Norris Band. Tickets pre-sale are £15 from newcastlelegends.com or from the venue direct. Peter Beardsley will be doing a talk-in at the Tyneside Irish Centre. That takes place on the 10th of January. Tickets are £30. VIP tickets are £60 and you can get them from newcastlelegends.com. An evening with the entertainers takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House in Newcastle on the 24th of January. Kevin Scott, Steve Watson, Steve Howe, John Beresford, Rule Fox, Peter Beardsley, Rob Lee, Keith Gillespie, Liam O'Brien, Darren Peacock, Paul Bracewell, Lee Clark and Killer Kill Klein are all going to be there with Gibbo. And you can get your tickets from the box office 0191 243 1171 or the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. Lee Clark will be at the Gateshead Leisure Centre. That is on the 31st of January and tickets available from the Leisure Centre 0191 250 5066. Les Ferdinand will be at the Newcastle O2 City Hall the 6th of April 2025. That is a 12 o'clock start until 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Tickets available from ticketmaster.co.uk. And Will Scott's book on the entertainers is out now. £18.99, over 380 pages and a lot of unseen photographs. You can buy that book now from newcastlelegends.com. And we do have some fanzines remaining. If you want to buy an NUFC Matters fanzine, issue 1 is still available, again from newcastlelegends.com. And please take your time to flip onto our other channel, The Word on Blake 7. Please hit the subscribe button and help that channel grow. And it's time to welcome Rob. How are you, Rob? And I've just noticed you've changed your name on your underneath your picture. What's that all about?
Yeah, I have. Well, as you both are aware, I was at an event on Saturday night, and that song massively influenced this band. It's Les Amants du Jour by Edith Piaf.
Ah, right.
Most people know her as Non Regret Rien, that song. So yeah, the front man covered that. That was his influence for the band I went to see, and horror, cabaret, gothic. It's absolutely. It's taken me 3 days to get over it. It was unbelievable. But yeah, that's what Andy's mother used to listen to. So it was 1936. And going back to that genre, it was Ian Asprey that called Andy the Gothic Goblin. It was back in the Back Cave Club in Dean Street in London. So allegedly, that's where the name comes from, the Gothic Goblin. So there you go.
See, it's an every day is a learning day on this show.
Bought a record and says, can you sign the record for me? So yes, he did. So yeah, I've got the original, but I'll be popping it in a frame. But it was absolutely fantastic.
Mind blown. Fantastic. Great
Yeah.
stuff. And
Yeah.
as always, here is an album that Rob won't be reviewing today. Sally Ann's Accordion Band. Big swinging hits.
Yep.
I'm sure they are. Fantastic. But that isn't what you're reviewing today, Rob. What are you reviewing?
Today was suggested by Alan Little, and it was Achtung Baby, and I do have the anniversary version of it.
Yeah.
I won't pull the cover out because it was banned for a while. So yeah, really good. The phrase Achtung Baby came from their engineer at the time. It was a call to arms before any session started. It was like, stand at attention, guys. We're going to start work now. So yeah, it opens with Zeus Station. Really, really good guitar distortion on this one. It's got your classic U2 sound, but it does have a change in direction for them as well at the same time. So yeah, Daniel Lanois and Flood. I do know Flood's name from Depeche Mode, obviously. Depeche Mode, Fast Fashion. He's worked with them a lot, but it's got quite an alternative techno feel to it. It's a good song, good opener. You've got Even Better Than the Real Thing. Love the double vocals on this song. It was another big smash MTV hit single, big commercial sound. As you two do, Adam and Larry carry the backbone with this. Absolutely brilliant. They just carry it perfectly. Then you've got the track called One. Don't like this, but bizarrely enough, it's a bit too dark for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A lot of people will be surprised with that, but I do appreciate why, others like it. It's not enough in it for me. It's just, yeah, apart from the lyrics. But yeah. Track 4, Until the End of the World. I'd say this is Edge's best performance on the album. It's really, really good. Good drum intro. I think it's quite underrated. I think it was played live 2005 at the Hall of Fame Awards. Then you've got Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses, a good song. It was a good song at the time as well. Again, massive on MTV. Not sure if it's been played live. I've never seen it. I've got quite a lot of YouTube, DVDs, but I've never seen it on it. Good lyrics to it. One of the lyrics is "Who's going to take the place of me?" It's brilliant. I just like that simplicity of it. You've got So Cruel. It's definite 90s sound. I think it was just 1991 this came out. Yeah, it's a 7 studio album, but it's that 90s sort of backbeat, drop beat drumming that I think originated from hip hop. A lot of indie bands were doing it at the time. Yeah, it's quite a bit of a tearjerker song. Nice gentle piano part throughout. Nice little orchestral arrangements in the background. You've got The Fly, classic rock tune again. Guitar riff is brilliant. I just love what he does. It's just unique. There's nobody like him. Nice rolling bass again. I think it's ahead of its time as well. Other stuff that was going around at that time. To me, it's like they were ahead of grunge. It was like grunge was just starting to come over the UK at this point. And when you listen to The Fly now, and it's like, I think U2 were a little step ahead of them, and maybe new grunge was on its way. Then you've got track 8, Mysterious Ways. I've played this in a band before, we covered it, but it's one of those ones, if you're covering songs, you do get a bit tired of listening to it, but nice wah-wah guitar in it. I really do like that effect. Not a lot of drumming on this or on the album in general, but just enough. Again, MTV classic song. You've got Trying to Throw Your Arms Around the World, very atmospheric. Good change of direction. It just pushed his album a little bit. It's just really good, a little bit different, quite refreshing. Fantastic bass playing by Adam Clayton on this one. Simple but effective, really good song. You've got Ultraviolet, again, simple bass lines, effective, brilliant vocal change midway in the middle 8. Classic U2 as well, very good. A really, really sort of like a feel-good tune for me. You've got Acrobat. The intro to this one, it's like the end of the album sort of feel again. It's a bit of a tearjerker. Pretty good drumming on this one, pretty standard. It's okay, I'm not too keen on it. You've got the final song is called Love is Blindness. When this first came on, I thought that's a white shade of pale. It was exactly pretty much note for it. But it's quite a cold, chilling, song for the end of the album. Good vocals on it though, pretty good, atmospheric, nice stuff in the background. Is it? But it's got. I like said. I really like the hand percussion on it. It's like when you're at school and it's like going to pick an instrument. It's just I like that. It's sort of like a childlike sort of percussion parts on it. But yeah, it was a good album. It was good to hear it again. Yeah, it's getting an 8.5 out of 10. And before I go, talking of vinyl, as you're well aware, and I've not posted yet, these are going to be in the post tomorrow for you both. That's your vinyl slip mats each for you. So I'll pop them in the post tomorrow. Apologies, I've not done it yet.
No,
so
yeah, it's great. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Cheers,
and again,
you pinged us a few photographs as well, Rob. Just I didn't have time to load them, but I've got them up there now. Right.
Okay. There is issues with the band name, and like NWA, I think they're going to be called SGC. So yeah. Also, I'd just like to say, Sid, your Christmas review was brilliant. I think I messaged you saying how much I like Greg Lake's song. It's absolutely.
Yeah, we did a Christmas show. It's quite funny. It's quite funny. Maybe making Ian just laugh all the way through. We pick our top 15 songs. We're just constantly laughing. There's some odd choices as well. Some very strange choices.
Really enjoyed it. Yeah,
I love that U2 album, and you all love about it the fact that they did a 180-degree turn from the previous couple of albums where they went to a certain style, which was great, but then all of a sudden they did something really different. And so they went to Hansa Studios to record, which was Bowie's studio, of course, for the Heroes album. They tried to record most stuff there. They ended up going. They haven't recorded some stuff there and ended up doing it elsewhere in Dublin, didn't they? Went and mixed back over there. It was a great album. Absolutely love it. And I saw a couple of years later, because they did the Zooropa tour, wasn't it? Which was the tour that went with it. It was massive, all the big screens. That was the first time I think anybody had done something like that. Yeah. And I saw Buzzcocks play the Riverside, and they did a Mick Take version of it. And they had literally about 30, 40 old Rediffusion TVs on the screen. Those old 70s TVs, and they're all connected. And they had the drummer of the Smiths playing for them at the time. And they were basically just playing hardcore pornography all through the back of the screens. During the whole concert, it was amazing. I'm amazed they got away with it without being arrested. It was bonkers. But great album, by the way.
Yeah.
As always, you bring us a little something, Sid, as well. What have you got for us today?
Yeah, I've gone with Madness, one of my favourite ever bands. I've probably seen them at least 30 times. And I've gone with Wonderful, which was the comeback album in 1999. It's absolutely brilliant. It really is. For a comeback album, it's just remarkable. I think there's about 10 tracks on it. Every one of them is an absolute banger. There's not even an average song on the album, which I find amazing. So it starts off, you got Love Struck, which was a hit. And it sounds like classic old Madness, I'm leaning on the Lamppost song. Then you got Johnny the Horse, which is brilliant. Lee Thompson wrote it. Was it Thompson? I can't remember now. But it's brilliant. It's really, really well put together. Such a catchy tune. Johnny the Horse was kicked to death. He died for entertainment, which is a great song. And it's got a bit of a Pogues feel to it as well. Then we got an old ska type song, which could easily have been on One Step Beyond. It would have fitted in perfectly, which is The Communicator, which is fab. We've got a melancholy song with 4 a.m., which is lovely and quite languid. Then we got The Wizard, really, again, up-tempo. Got a great, like a really almost like a kid's show sort of theme tune to it. I'm a wizard and there's magic in the air. I absolutely love it. We have Drip Fed Fred, featuring Ian Dury, and it's got the catchy opening, We Want Freddie for Our Leader. But Freddie is a man of class. It's brilliant. And Ian Dury's lyrics, singing on it's brilliant. It's one of the last things he did just before he died. And of course, Ian Dury was sort of the key inspiration for Madness, really. You'd probably see along with the likes of the Kinks. And you can really hear it within the band. And before on the tour, if I remember rightly, they played the video because Madness are notoriously tight. They tend not to have bands supporting them often. They did have Squeeze recently, which was amazing, but they generally tend to just play videos or a cheap DJ. And they played the Drip Fed Fred video before the gig, and it was fab. Well, what a great song that is. Really catchy. Elysium, again, another banger. Saturday Night, Sunday Morning, again, lovely, just all of these songs are really, really catchy. If I Didn't Care, it's a really sad song with a good groove. No Money, terrific song. And can I just say, there was a song actually called You're Wonderful, which didn't actually make the album, which I can't quite get because the album's only 41 minutes. And it's produced by Clive Langer and Alan Winstanley, who used to produce all their albums anyway in the 80s. It's got that classic Madness sound. And oh, what a band. What a truly great band. For me, I think when I think of like the 1980s, they are the best pop band, probably along with Eurythmics for me, the best pop band of the 1980s. I just think they're just remarkable. The amount of great songs they've got. You know what though? They're still creating great albums with great songs. Their back catalogue is just phenomenal. So we did a show on them. We did a ranking show, and I did it with Kirk from Pet Sounds, the old Pet Sounds days. And Kirk's a great lad. And Kirky and I had totally different views. So our choice of list of albums were totally different. So it was interesting to watch. And book-wise, I've kept the theme consistent, and I've went with Suggs. And Suggs' book, That Close, I think he's got another one out now, but That Close, which is great, and he did it as a one-man show. In fact, he's done it in 2 parts because he's done a follow-up as well. And he talks about being 50 for the first time, 50, and the death of his cat and all the rest of it, and how it inspired him to go out and do this road show and talk. And he was very, very funny. The book's just full of hilarious anecdotes, some bonkers anecdotes. So he's talking about, people forget he was famous at about 18 or 19. Madness, he was 18, 19. Some of the other members of the band are about 24, and the other members are like 17, 18. So the band's almost in 2 halves. And that's why when they had a split for a while, it was along those lines as well. And he's quite young compared to some of them. And he talks about this story. It's a really funny story where he just did any old work to get a job, and he was a labourer, and he was basically planting trees on this big posh estate. They were in such a rush to try and get home, they just chopped the bottom of the tree roots off, just dumped the trees in, got paid and legged it, got paid a load of money, and he said he drove past 6 months later and all these trees were dead. Just some really daft, it's full of daft stories and about how they made it, talk about the fact that they met the Specials at the same time and didn't realise it was another band doing the same sort of music. Just a great bloke. And if you get the chance to go and do the show as well, he's just fabulous. The only downside is he's a Chelsea fan. And about a year ago, he was coming back from Chelsea played Leeds United, and he obviously was hammered from the night before. And I was at King's Cross, and he was walking through the station without his sunglasses on, and he looked knackered. And I goes, "All right, Suggs." He goes, "Yeah, all right, mate." And me eldest daughter, she goes, "I always thought he was blind because of the fact he had sunglasses on."
Funny enough, I've got a King's Cross story. I was sitting on the train coming back from King's Cross, coming back to Newcastle, and he got on my train. He got himself settled down, got his things all ready, and just settling into his seat. And then he looked at me and he went, "This is the train to Leeds, yeah?" And I went, "No, this is the train to Newcastle." He went, "Beep, beep," and then basically picked all his stuff up and ran off. So that was it. That was my encounter with Suggs at King's Cross. So there we go. Go on then, Rob.
Before I go, if viewers can throw in some album suggestions for me as well for the next few weeks coming up, and also a funny story from Saturday. I was at the bar, came back, and what came on? The song "Chameleon" by Gary Newman. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's when Alan Partridge is standing in his static home playing the air bass. It's just so funny. Everyone just looked at each other and trying to do this air bass thing. It was so funny. You had to be there. It was one of those ones.
Fantastic. Well, as you mentioned grunge, why don't you do Nevermind by Nirvana next week?
Okay. I'll do that. Yeah.
I'm going to do one for Jimmy Moore because I keep promising to do a Steely Dan album for Yonk, so I'll do Steely Dan.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. All right, Rob. Thanks very much, mate. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, man. Look after yourself.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.
Great stuff. Okay, pre-recorded show, I remember. So we aren't talking Liverpool today. We are talking Brentford. Newcastle do travel to London this weekend. Will they be travelling with their tails up or their tails down? That is the big question. But it's It's an away game. Newcastle's away form has been better than it was last season. It's a 3:00 kickoff. It's live. Not live on TV, sorry, because it's a 3:00 kickoff. All 1,700 tickets have been sold. And it's been an interesting place, Brentford, for Newcastle. Tim Robinson is going to be the referee, first time in the middle for a Newcastle game this season. And Jared Gillette is on VAR.
I don't even know who the referee is, which is always a good sign because I've never heard of him.
Not a bad sign, yeah. But we've got a good record down there. We've won down there the last 3 seasons: 4-2, 2-1, 2-0. Got to go back to lockdown when Newcastle got beat in the League Cup by 1-0. But previous to that, previous visits to Brentford come away with 2-1 wins in 2016, 17, 92, 93, of course. Kelly and Peacock scored in a 2-1 win. But yeah, Newcastle. Good record of Brentford.
Yep.
Is it going to?
They're in form. They're in form at home. They've only been beat. They haven't been beaten, have they? They've won 6 and drawn 1, something like that.
Got a habit of scoring quick goals as well.
They, yeah. And they've got a good manager, in my opinion. I quite like Thomas Franks. I think he's a good bloke and a good manager.
Won 6, drawn 1, and 22 goals they've scored, Sid.
Yeah, they're a good team. I think it's going to be a very tough game. I do, and. Just looking at the law of averages, we're due to slip up at some point. Hopefully not this week. I think it's a very tough game. It would be typical Newcastle to go and beat Liverpool and get beat off Brentford, wouldn't it? Would that be a shock? I don't think so. I think the shock would be if they got beat off Leicester. That would be sort of typical Newcastle. But I think it's going to be a very tough game. I think they've got some really good players, some entertaining players, and obviously. I've always pronounced it as Mbueno, but apparently he pronounced it himself as Bueno. Brian Bueno. So I thought it was Mbueno, but he's pronounced it as Bueno. I heard him say it, so how am I to contradict him? I think he's a super player, and I know most Newcastle fans want to sign him as, or not most, but a number, want to sign him as a player, and I think he'd be a fabulous choice for it. But I think getting the deal done is a different matter. He's a threat. I think the centre forward's coming and done a great job. The guy that they've signed up, I've never heard of him, but he's done a really good job. They're a good team. I can see it being really end to end, actually, which contradicts my gripes with regards to us not scoring and all the rest of it. But they're quite open. I don't think Thomas Frank allows them to sit back and just sort of not do anything. They're quite attacking. So I can see this sort of playing into Newcastle's hands a little bit, but I can see it be quite high scoring. And I'm going to go with 2-2.
2-2. Okay, cheers for that, Sid. I'm going to go for a Newcastle United draw as well with Brentford. I'm going to go 1-1. But they are high scorers, Brentford. Newcastle will have to be on the mark defensively, but I'm going to go for another away draw in that fixture. A couple of other things. You have followed through on your idea, haven't you? Did you contact the supporters club or the supporters trust?
Yes, I did actually. So I messaged them and. Because I was saying, well, why don't you look at what Keith's had to say and, do something about it. I'm not sure the exact words that I said to them, but I've put it to them and forwarded the link, and that was it. I've heard nothing back. They did say, we don't know anything about it, which was a little bit of a surprise. And then, I await their response, I think is the phrase I'm going to use.
And last thing this week, FA Cup third round draw took place on Monday night. Newcastle have been given a home tie against Bromley.
Thrilled. You know what was lovely? You'll have seen the footage with the chairman, like they were jumping up and down and hugging each other. And of course, Woodward.
Andy Woodman. Yeah.
Woodman was the old Newcastle, Andy Woodman, isn't it? Was the old Newcastle goalkeeping coach. So he's the manager and he'd be buzzing. And you know what? Lovely to see another club. The fans will obviously be, welcomed into the city. Look forward to playing against Bromley, which is we've never ever played Bromley as far as I'm aware. It's never. So I'm really looking forward to that game. That should be interesting. And of course, Howe will probably play quite a different team. But as long as it's what I don't like is when you disrespect other clubs as well, and all their fans are coming up for a, let's be honest, their fans will be coming up for a jolly and to come to a big stadium and something totally different. But don't disrespect them by not playing some of the first teams, the regulars as well. I would like to see them have a chance against the likes of Bruno and Tonali, and maybe have the young Asula up front instead of maybe Isaac, Isaac, but sprinkle these players and put them on a bit, so they've got these fans have got the opportunity to say, oh, I've seen Isaac play, or I've seen Bruno play, or I've seen Joelinton play, or whatever. Give them that opportunity and don't sort of say, oh, I turned up there and Newcastle put like a C team out, because I don't like that. Give them a bit of respect. Let the fans have a day out as well, and let Newcastle do the job. In fact, put a good team out for 60 minutes, and if we've won the game at that point, then you can obviously put all the kids on, or whoever you want to put on at that point. That's my personal viewpoint from a fan's perspective,
Yep, magic of the FA Cup coming in January, but got a busy Christmas period.
But a home draw. Oh, I couldn't believe it.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Arsenal getting Man United. It was like, get in,
Don't forget to subscribe to Songs from the Attic 1977 Sid's channel.
We've got a Christmas show out, folks. We've just done a Pink Floyd show and a Christmas show. So go out and check mine and my mate Ian's top 15 Christmas songs. There's some unusual choices. I'll give you a clue. Mariah Carey doesn't feature, but does get mentioned. But there we have it.
Great stuff, mate. See you next week. Take care.
All right, take care, folks. Bye-bye.